Hey guys, what's going on? So got a box in the mail here. New wire stripper. This is the wire stripper I got here. Automatic wire stripper user manual. So that's the one I got. That's the one I've been using. It does work good, but let's get this out of the box and check it out, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, the first peek at it here. Let's check it out. Looks pretty cool. Alright, so this is it here. Nice motor on it. This is the power cord for it. And then this piece here just gets plugged in over there. So let's go ahead and do that. And so this is the CrewWorks wire stripping machine. Yeah. I don't know how much power it has right here. So it says single phase motor, 110 volts, 60 hertz, 1,703 RPM. Yeah. So let's check this out. Alright guys, so here we go. We got it plugged in now. I think I've dialed it in, not 100% though, but we're gonna try it out here. I've tried it a couple times. I don't know how I feel about it, but so we'll turn it on. Just push the button and it'll pull the wire through, but if the wire is bent and stuff, it doesn't seem to want to keep it going through, so you gotta like kind of force it through. I don't know. So now it's kind of got stuck in there, right? I don't know. I mean, it works, don't get me wrong. Like, but the thing is you gotta like really straighten each wire out like so. So, you know, by going through doing, I don't know, and then it'll take it in. Maybe I don't have it dialed in enough, I don't know, but I've been adjusting it, and you basically just adjust it with this. But see, okay, so this wheel turns slow, right? And then, let's put that off to the side there. This one here that I've been using, right? Just kind of put it in there. So this one here that I've been using, like, look, it goes quick, right? And, here so you guys can see the wire. So once it goes through quick, like it's just a quick peel, right? So I don't know. Is the drill one better? In my opinion, yeah, it is. It's a lot quicker, a lot more sufficient. You guys are getting a lot of glare there. I apologize. Can't zoom you guys out either. So let's see if I can do this. Got this box over here. Stand you guys up on the box, maybe. There we go. You guys can see it over here. So pretty much goes through a lot quicker. Now with one pass, like you can pretty much peel it out. Alright. So you guys see there. But what I like to do, just for easier method for me to peel out, is I put it through on one side, and then I flip it, and I put it through a second time, and it self-peels it, right? So that's what I do. So personally, I don't know how I feel about this one here. Maybe I just gotta, I don't know. This is how you adjust it, but like it's really tight to adjust. I don't know, maybe put some oil in there or something. I don't know if any of you scrappers have this model. Let me know your experience with it. I'm thinking about getting one of them wire strippers that got like multiple holes. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know, let me know. But for now on, I'm just gonna keep using this one, I guess, and go from there. So I'm gonna switch the camera around here. We'll put you guys kind of, I hate the glare from the light outside, but I don't want to close the door either, so see, it kind of makes it dark, right? So not great video quality there. It's good air though. Alright, well, let's just see what we can do right here for now. Put something in front of the camera just to hold it up. There we go. Alright, and we'll just strip some wire while we talk here. So guys, yeah, again, I had a shutout video, or Scholar Metals did a shutout video for me not too long ago. We just got up to 700 subscribers, guys. So that was epic. So thank you guys for that. I greatly appreciate it. And to all you people new to the channel, you know, we do a lot of the copper recovery stuff, and you know, we strip out a lot of HVAC equipment, micro scrapping, you know, all that kinds of stuff. You know, we do quite a little bit of everything, or try to, as much as we can. I try to recover as much copper as I possibly can, and as you guys know, my boy Rooster, he works with me as well sometimes. You know, he does a lot of the strip out videos with like furnaces, ACs, you know, stuff like that. You know, we are going to get into doing some street scrapping videos here soon, which is going to be cool. Work for me has been slowing down as far as the HVAC stuff coming in, being that it's almost the end of summer, but that's okay. You know, we'll still get furnaces and stuff like that here and there. But yeah. So right now we're just trying to strip out all the wire that we have. So all this wire here is out of like BX cable. Now the BX, like, you could take in as is if you want to. I mean, my yard pays like $3.50 or $4 a pound for it. But for Bear Bright, they're paying like over $8 a pound. I think it's like $8.15 a pound right now. Canadian, that is, Canadian. So I strip it out. I mean, you know, to each their own. Sometimes I melt my Bear Bright into bars. You know, I sell 1 pound bars on Facebook Marketplace sometimes, and you know, people pay like 15 to 20 bucks for 1 pound bars, which is way more than the scrapyard. You know, sometimes I do that. So that's why I strip it all, right? Because it is the purest of the copper, you know, and obviously when you sell it to somebody as bullion, you want to give them the purest product that you can, right? So this stuff here is pretty much 3, 4, or 9's fine. You know, I know some people will say it's not worth stripping BX or it's not worth stripping Romex, but I still do it. If it's worth it or not, I don't care. Gives me something to do on my downtime. You know, just like micro scrapping stuff, you know, people say it's not worth it, but again, if it's my downtime, gives me something to do. And realistically, all the copper and brass that I get, I just save it up, and then when I get a good chunk of it, I cash it in, and I take the money and I reinvest that money into silver and gold, or, you know, put it into like an RSP account or something like that for retirement. Because as you guys know, being a scrapper, you don't get retirement money for it. You know, you don't, you know, any of that, right? And well, I do this full time, so my copper is pretty much my retirement plan. So if I invested in a silver or gold, then at least it's still money, you know, can be cashed out anytime or sold for money down the road. And if I put it into an RSP, well, it invests for me anyways. So yeah, but yeah, I just like I said, it's a beautiful day out today, and no better time to add to the copper stack than now, right? I mean, and then what I do now that I've done that, what I do is I have my little clips here, and I just cut them into chunks and drop them into a bucket, because I have a big 55-gallon drum, and so by cutting it like this, once I fill a bucket full, I will take the bucket and I'll dump it into the 55-gallon drum. Once that drum gets full, I'll start a new drum and just continue on, right? We are looking at making a big move in the next year or two. So right now we live in Ontario, Canada, but we are looking to move to, you know, out west. So right now, basically all the copper I get from here and now till then will be going towards that big move and big change. So that'll be cool. And then hopefully we'll start a scrapping business out there and continue on to make some money. Obviously I'll have to find new clients and you know, start from scratch again, but that's okay, you know. Maybe once we move, we'll do like a series, you know, of how to start a scrap business from scratch, you know, and yeah, start out with some street scraps and you know, the biggest thing, if you want to grow your scrapping business, or, you know, even if you're doing it part-time or, you know, what have you, just to make some extra little money, best thing you can do is advertise. You know, advertise, and what I mean by that is putting ads on your local Facebook marketplaces, you know, business cards or flyers even, you know. You know, if you're not doing anything on a Saturday or a Sunday, go hand out some flyers in some neighborhoods, you know. Sometimes variety stores and stuff will let you put your flyers up there. You know, you can put flyers up on telephone poles, stuff like that. You know, just offering junk removal or scrap metal, you know, stuff like that, right? But every time you go to a client's house or a customer's house, give them a business card, you know, tell them to let their friends know and their neighbors know and stuff like that. And word of mouth is one of the biggest ways to grow your business. That's how I did it. I didn't have any paid advertising whatsoever. I just basically printed my own and just kept going from there. So yeah. But yeah, advertising, business cards, flyers, cold calls even, you know, I used to call around to a lot of HVAC companies, plumbers, you know, stuff like that. A bunch of them places. And I just used to tell them, like, listen, you know, I pick up free scrap metal. You know, if you guys have any, you know, scrap metal laying around that you want to get rid of, or, you know, don't want to truck it all from a job site, you know what I mean? Call me or text me anytime, day or night, and I'll come pick it up free of cost, you know? And they might turn around and be like, you know, yeah, we have a guy that does that. Okay, great, awesome. But you never know. And another thing, you never know how long their guy is going to be picking up for them. You know, maybe their guy goes on holidays, or, you know, maybe their guy is an older gentleman who ends up retiring from doing it, you know. But at the end of the day, they have your number now, and they're able to contact you, you know, or pass your number along somewhere else, or, you know, what have you, right? So always have cards with you, you know. Pass out your phone number, 100%, you know. I've went to businesses and, you know, handed out cards and stuff, and they've told me, oh no, we got somebody that does it. And then down the road, they've called me, or some of their employees have called me and said, hey, you know, like, my boss gave us your card, and, you know, I have some stuff at my house, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, there you go, right? Now you're in the money, right? Or as Scrap my grandpa likes to say, you got yourself a honey hole, you know. So yeah, grow. I'm just sorting out the different sizes, because obviously when I switch sizes, I got to adjust the wire stripper. So, but yeah, always grow. If you're growing at all times, you're doing great. And if you end up overflowed with scrap, that's not necessarily a bad problem, right? I mean, you wouldn't complain if your bank account was flooding with a bunch of money, right? Same thing. Now, mind you, make sure you have the room to take that overflow. I mean, if you don't have the room, that's going to be challenging. You know, yes, you could take everything in as is, without stripping it out, still make a little bit of money here and there, you know, but you're not going to make as much just taking it in as is, as if you were to strip it all out, strip it down, get the wiring out, get the copper out, the, you know, the motors out, you know, stuff like that, right? That's how you maximize your money, and you build up and save up for a big non-ferrous run, you know. So these are all different sizes. I got another bucket over here for that stuff. Yeah, and that's kind of what I do, right? So like right now I'm, you know, going to be stripping copper and stuff, but you know, do I cash it in right away? No, I don't. Some people do, and all the power to you. You know, if you're doing it for bills, to pay bills, stuff like that, and you got to cash it in, or you don't have the room and you got to cash it in, by all means, cash it in, you know. But if you don't have to, then don't, right? Copper is always going to be worth something, I'll tell you that now. It's like silver and gold. It's always going to be worth something. So, you know, if you can store it, then store it. If you can, you know, hoard it for a bit, then do it. You know, and if you can't, you can't. No big deal. But know, to each their own, right? Work within your means, you know. And who knows, maybe you start out doing street scrapping and, you know, with a trailer or a truck or a van even, or even a car, you know, like a four-door sedan or something, you know. But over time, as you're making that money, every scrap run that I do, I always put a little money aside, right? So if I do $100 run, I put $20 away, you know, just in an envelope, forget about it, right? And I keep doing that. And soon enough, over time, that money adds up. And then who knows, maybe you can afford a shop or, you know, something like that, right? That's the way I see it, right? Reinvest within yourself, you know? If you're trying to build this as a business, so that way you can do it full time, and if you get the clientele to do it full time, then 100% reinvest within yourself. You know, get yourself a shop, get yourself the proper tools, you know. Maybe a wire stripper, maybe a grinder, maybe some drills, you know, stuff like that. These tools are what's going to help you make more money down the road, you know. Maybe get a trailer so that way you can take more scrap, or, you know, so you have an area like your trailer to scrap stuff out on, you know. I mean, I used to sit there, I used to go to the scrapyard. I never had a shop at one time. I never had a trailer, none of that. I still don't have a trailer. You know, but I didn't have a shop or anything like that. So what I did is I used to do my pickups through the day, and then just like a couple hours before the scrapyard closed, I'd pull up to the scrapyard, pull up to the side parking lot there, and I would scrap all the stuff out on the back of my truck, and then, you know, separate the motors, the wires, all that. I'd have buckets in the back seat of my truck, and that's what I kept all of my wire and all that in, you know. And then over time, like I said, I saved up, and then I got a storage unit, you know, like one of those sea cans, right? And then I started using that as a shop, right? And then I, again, saved. And next thing you know, I was able to afford a shop, because at that time, like I said, I was just street scrapping, right? But at the same time of saving, I'm handing out cards, I'm handing out flyers, I'm, you know, doing cold calls, I'm, you know, pulling over to the side of the road where, you know, HVAC guys are, you know, taking out furnaces and ACs out of people's houses, you know, and I'm giving them my card, and I'm talking to them, and, you know, offering my services to them, right? And so over time, I'm now starting to get these calls, right? Hey, can you come pick this up? Hey, can you come pick that up? You know, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely, right? And so now come this time, I got a steady base of clients and customers, you know, and at this time, I'm pretty much filling my truck up on a daily with just pickups, and to the point where I don't have to go out street scrapping if I don't want to, you know. I still do, of course I do, but because that's where I started, right? And that's where I've been picking up all these customers, so of course, right? But now that I'm to the point where I'm getting all this scrap, I figure I need a place to process it all. And my storage unit is starting to get overpacked, and I ain't got the room to store, you know, all this stuff, plus whatever else I find, right? So I figure, okay, I gotta start looking for a shop. So I look around, and every place is just out of my budget. You know, they want $3 grand, $4 grand for a big shop, right? And I mean, I do scrap metal for a living. There's no way I'm gonna afford, at my level right now, $3,000-$4,000 to pay for a shop. Ain't happening, right? So I figure, you know what? Okay, let's stop looking for shops. Let's look for barns, right? So I started looking for barns, and you know what? A lot cheaper. I came by an ad on Facebook Marketplace, and a guy was renting out his barn for $1,500. And you know, I told him, I said, you know, like, I like the space and all, you know, but $1,500 is a little over my budget, you know, blah blah blah. And I asked him if he would go down to $1,000. And he came back, well, I won't go down to $1,000, but I'll go down to $1,100. So right there, I said, okay, you know. And I took it. It comes with hydro. It's not insulated, but I mean, really, if you're working out of a storage units aren't insulated either, you know. So I went over and I looked at the place, and I mean, it was like 10, 15 times the size of my storage unit, right? So I figured, wow, like the amount of space there is, not just inside, but outside too, right? So I told him I'll take it. And that's where I'm at right now, is in my shop now. Not this is my shed, but my other shop. You'll see it in other previous videos and future videos. It's just a barn, you know. And what he's done is he's divided this barn into two shops. So a mechanic rents the one side and I rent the other, which is awesome, you know. So yeah, you know, for $1,100, big shop, space out back. I got a place where my scrapyard can drop a dumpster there for me, which is awesome. You know, so, and my scrapyard, they charge me $100 to drop off a bin and pick it up and swap them out, you know, which isn't bad at all. I mean, $100, it's 5 appliances, you know. You can get that in one day, you know, so one day pays for that dumpster, right? And you're not technically paying for the dumpster, you're paying for the trucking, right? You know, the driver's time to swap them bins out for you, you know, and in turn, you're technically saving money in the long run, because you're going to be spending that money on fuel just to go back and forth to the scrapyard anyways, with tin, you know. You know, how much tin can you throw in the back of your truck? Like that, you know. So realistically, is it worth? I think so, 100%. Now I understand a lot of people, you know, can't do that, or their scrapyards won't do that, or what have you. But for me, I'm fortunate that mine does. You know, and it just saves me time, right? It allows me so I can have more time at my shop to process stuff, you know, less time in travel, right? Which is always nice. You know, I can pretty much just sit at my shop all day if I wanted to, scrap stuff out, and just chuck all the tin in the bin to quickly get it out of my shop, because tin takes up a lot of space, right? As a scrapper, we all know this. Tin takes up a lot of space in your shop. So for me to be able to just scrap it out, take it out to the bin, toss it in there, forget about it, and then continue on working is amazing. I don't have to load a trailer up. Well, I don't have to unload a trailer to begin with, and then load it all back up after I strip everything out, you know. I gotta unload my truck, strip it all out, toss it into the bin, and that's where it stays, you know. I don't have to, you know, load it back all into my truck, drive it to the scrapyard, unload it all, then weigh out, then drive all the way back to my shop to grab another load. You know what I mean? It just makes it easier for me. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you have the means to do that, great. If not, no biggie, you know. But yeah, you know, I just thought, I know I'm babbling on a lot, guys, but I just thought I'd kind of just touch base on this video. you know, how you guys can, you know, go about growing your business through scrapping and stuff like that. You know, and how I went about it, just to kind of give you a little feedback, you know, about me and the channel and stuff like that, and how I got started. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for all the chatting and talking. I did want to do a review on this wire stripper. To me, I don't think it's worth the money, but that's up to you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. We got more videos to come, so until then, keep scrapping, have a good day, and don't forget, most importantly, guys, wash your damn hands. Take care, y'all.